This is the most tragic truth. People taught so completely that the eye's not dynamic that they can't even help their own children. So we get this started. If you measure your child's refractive state correctly, as I'm doing it, you can see your child's refraction going from plus to minus. And you know that, you can start your child in prevention with a plus lens or keep their nose off the page, and the child will never enter myopia. But this man's so blind scientifically to the eye's behavior that he doesn't even understand that much of it. Here goes.
When my son was 6 years old, he failed a test, an eye test, not a big deal, right? But I don't like when my sons fail at anything, let alone a vision screening. You see, I'm an optometrist. And I remember going to the mall and picking up this portrait of both my sons and feeling conflicted. On the one hand, they looked so cute. But on the other, I could not believe they both were wearing glasses. They suffer from a very common visual condition called myopia. They need glasses to see at a distance. It's also called nearsightedness. And up to recently, doctors were taught that myopia was primarily due to genetics. But my wife and I did not wear glasses until much later in life. So I remember asking myself, what's going on here? Because I noticed this more in my exam room as well. This led me on a career-long journey that started with a study investigating 6 and 7-year-old children of Chinese ethnicity. One group lived in Singapore, the other group in Australia. Despite sharing the same genetic makeup, the children in Singapore, 30% of them suffered with myopia compared to only 3% in Australia. The major difference between the two groups was how much time they spent outdoors. And I remember saying, outdoors, what's up with that? And then later on, researchers feel the most prevalent theory is that we need daylight to stop the eye from stretching, which causes myopia. And this is not a problem isolated to East Asia. In the United States, the prevalence of myopia has nearly doubled since the 1970s to 42%.
Okay, Richardson, give me the
Okay, I'll
treat.
stop with
Holidays
this
are
is
done.
the commercial.
No way they're done.
All eyes are dynamic systems, control systems. They always do this. They don't make themselves defective. That's because of this guy's mistaken thinking that all eyes are bad cameras. And somehow you got to fix a bad camera somehow or other when it's not that way at all. No eye was ever like that. That's the so-called schematic eye. And that's all they teach. They don't teach the reality that all eyes are control systems at birth and always have been. They control themselves from plus to minus and completely normal. If you can't think like that, you can't get anywhere. You can't solve any problems. You just use a minus lens. So if this man had deeper insights, I'll suggest Dr. Johnson. He has a daughter. The daughter could be effective in prevention. And that something that depends on Dr. Johnson's knowledge, wisdom, and fortitude. Since that's pure father-daughter relationship, the same relationship that exists between Rupa Wong and her children. Yeah, fighting with your kids about prevention is going to be tough. They must understand no leaning forward on the page, no leaning forward on the cell phone. And they'll complain, Mother, I don't like that. Mother, you're interfering. Mother, mother. But they'll do it. No, prevention is not a plus lens. Prevention is understanding the behavior of all totally normal, fundamental eyes. If you can't think that way, you can't be successful. Further, you may as well stop asking optometrists to help you because they don't know enough to even help with their own children with prevention. This doctor could have helped his own children, but his mind is so locked into the eyes of bad camera, and the public needs to know better, know something better, when this man doesn't even know enough to help his own children with prevention. And it could be just keep the kid's nose off the page, but I see prevention as keep the nose off the page while you have 20/20 and wearing a plus when you're 20/20, and with the expertise yourself to make your own refractive measurements, because I obviously don't believe that any optometrist has any interest in helping me or anyone with the type of prevention that would be engineering scientific understanding type of prevention. So this is the intellectual blindness that sadly is taught in optometry. Even now we know that Dr. Johnson had a minus 3.5, yet he reads the Snellen at 20/50. That's almost passing the DMV. But even though I don't tell Dr. Johnson what he could, should do, might do, it's all up to him. But I could see much greater help being provided to your own daughter. And that's up to him also. I don't control this situation. I certainly know myself, my own bad habits, and habitual, excessively strong minus lens prescriptions. That ends it. That kills everything when you do that to a child. It's tragic. So this doctor puts his own kid at a minus when he could help them with prevention. Something's really missing in the education of optometrists. And it's missing from you. I don't claim success. I doubt success. That's why I don't make any claims like that. I only tell you what I was able to do from my experience of Jacob Rafelson. Even Rafelson recognized that the ignorance of the public was so total and complete that he could not do anything about it, except his own children. So one day, long in the future, maybe we'll offer people the possibility of prevention when they're 20/40. It's obviously not going to happen with these optometrists, and that optometrist thinking the way he does, totally blind to scientific truth. So it's up to you to define scientific truth, what's important in your life, and look for an optometrist who will have you personally make the refractive measurements yourself while he's giving you advice on how to achieve effective prevention while you'll still have 20/20 or maybe even 20/40. Because the real goal would go from 20/40 to 20/20 and then keep it there by continuing to wear the plus after your 20/20. Or let's make it easy. Make your goal to pass the DMV, which I obviously do, which means doing better 20/40 with both eyes. Let's make it reasonable and possible. Add your own commentary. This disturbs me to have this man so totally blind to scientific and science facts that he can't even help his own children with prevention before the refractive states of their normal eye goes from normal plus to normal negative. Add your own commentary. Think I'm wrong. By all means, that's how you find scientific truth. Yeah, I'm talking about great science and engineering in the person himself before it's gotten too far out of hand, meaning 20/40. Thank you.